leadership in this country is failing. Under BBM, walang clear reforms, walang clear vision, walang direction, and instead of solutions, nakikita natin puro press conferences instead of policy. If the masterminds sits at the top, can the system really clean itself? Wala tayong maaasahan if the ones who have the power are also the ones who are involved. A system where those who decide the budget benefit from the budget and also the same people who investigate the budget. That is not governance, my friends. That is a syndicate. But we stand today because we love the same country. At ito yung nagdala sa atin dito. But also because deep in our hearts, we understand that something is very wrong. Tama po ba? You know, ang dami sinabi kanina ni Attorney Vic, and everything he said are not just facts and numbers. They are not, but they are actually lives of people, and they are signs of a nation in danger. And they are barometers of collapse. At bakit nangyari ito? I personally believe nangyari ito, and I know you share the same belief about it. It's all because leadership in this country is failing. Under BBM, walang clear reforms, walang clear vision, walang direction, and instead of solutions, nakikita natin puro press conferences instead of policy. Tama ba? Do you know that in global democracy markings, ang tawag nila sa atin, flawed democracy. And now we have a Congress that is a supermajority that rarely says no to Malacanang. And media today, they're very cautious. They are captured. They are controlled. Commissions and investigations appear to be working, but they are there to cover up and control the narrative. And then, of course, narinig natin yung pinakamalaking scandal, right? Flood control scam, 100 billion budget, and all of that. And Malacanang spin is telling us about anti-corruption drive, infrastructure commission. But the world and the Filipino people are asking, if the masterminds sits at the top, can the system really clean itself? Wala tayong maaasahan if the ones who have the power are also the ones who are involved. And so this country is not just facing corruption, we are facing a state capture. A system where those who decide the budget benefit from the budget and also the same people who investigate the budget. That is not governance, my friends. That is a syndicate. And I tell you, I went to a recent trip to be part of an international think tank. And there I met some businessmen and also some diplomats. And I assure you, the ASEAN governments, investors and partners are watching us. You know, ASEAN is one of the regions in the world with the strictest laws against illicit drugs. Kaya yung revelation ni Senator Amy Marcos is not contained within the Philippines because it will go to ASEAN drug control forums, intelligence reports, it will affect risk assessment about the Philippines, it will, and also through quiet diplomatic conversations. Ibig sabihin, maaapektuhan eventually ang bilateral cooperation ng ating bansa with the ASEAN. Hindi nila ito sinasabi outrightly and publicly, but I know that they will act quietly downgrading intelligence cooperation with our nation because they cannot risk sharing information with a country whose leadership is drug compromised. At sa mga investors naman natin, you know, and I'm so glad kasi sinabi nila, we're done hearing all the claims of your palace. But what we are looking right now are the fading markets, collapsing FDI, weakening currency, rising political instability, allegations of a drug-using president. And unless we save the Philippines, the bad news is, we are bound for collapse. Gusto ba natin yon? Gusto ba natin yun? Magko-collapse tayo. But I have good news for you. Amid all of these, and instead of totally walking away from the Philippines, the world saw something else. They see you in massive rallies. Millions of people praying, marching. They see the people's courage start standing in the rain for truth and accountability. And do you know what diplomats are whispering right now? They're probably saying to each other, the Filipino people may be more stable than their government. But this is both painful but powerful. Powerful because it means that we are the last line of defense when institutions are captured. We are the remaining institution that still works in this country. And the foreign investors are reading us. Now, naririnig natin yung idea floating around about other groups on the idea of transition council, a caretaker, a revolutionary setup to bypass succession and avoid letting Sara Duterte, VP Sara Duterte, assume office if Marcos steps down. Pero ang katotohanan, my friends, and I don't understand why this is being talked about even in media, and DILG, hindi pumapalag dito. Because a transition council, truth is, it is a power grab disguised as reform. It is a coup in slow motion. A shortcut that will break this republic, or worse than corruption already has. It is an unconstitutional power grab that benefits only the architects of this transition. And the most alarming part, the PNP isn't pushing back. The same organization, DILG, that over-prepared on November 16 and 17 is suddenly quiet about this. And the palace is not even condemning it. And that silence speaks of volume. But guys, wag tayong mag-give in. Look at history and look at the world. Myanmar, 2021. A temporary council justified by political crisis led to a civil war and economic implosion. Thailand, 2006 and 2014. Multiple reform councils resulted in military dominance, suspended rights, and institutional decay. Egypt, from 2011 to 2013, a transition council captured by competing elites collapsed into authoritarian rule. Sudan, 2019, a shared civilian military council promised stability. It delivered coups, famine, and fragmentation. So the pattern is clear. When there is something like that, people suffer. The economy collapses. Power consolidates among the few, particularly the architects of such transition. And legitimate succession dies, and trust never returns. Why? Because transition councils only work for those who sit on the council, never for the nation. Every country that bypassed constitution in crisis paid the price. Ask me why. Because once you throw away the rules, the future leaders who will assume leadership can also throw them away too. So we must never allow political factions, whether yung mga pink, mga makabayan, yung LBM, to rewrite the Constitution just like that, just because they fear Sara Duterte. If Marcos goes down, the Constitution is very clear, right? So we must not offer extra constitutional shortcuts. And friends, PNP might be silent right now, institutions might be timid, political blocs might be scheming, but the Filipino majority still holds the final say. Tayo yun! That is why right now I'm so happy, because it gives us an opportunity to come together, converge, to rise, stand, speak, defend our Constitution. Because if us, the majority, stays quiet, others will decide for the future of our nation. And here's the truth they don't want us to realize. Tingnan nyo bawat isa. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Pare-parehas tayo ng pinaglalaban, and this is the truth. We are still the constitutional majority.
Yes. Yes.
They may be winning the propaganda war, but we are the majority. And as the constitutional majority, today we are awake. The majority is angry. The majority wants accountability. The majority rejects corruption. But media tries to drown our voice. Surveys try to manipulate perception. The administration and its allies try to divide our unity. Propaganda tries to make us feel outnumbered. But that is not the truth. We are not outnumbered. We are just outshouted. Dahil hindi magkalakas ang sigaw namin. And friends, even if we are the majority and we have the numbers, understand that unused numbers can also become numbers unseen. Pag hindi lumakas ang boses natin, parang hindi tayo nag-exist. But thank God, today we write history. This is the coalition that will change that.
Yes.
So NCR must rise, Luzon must rise, Visayas must rise. One voice, one pressure, one stand, one republic. Because you know what? No investor, no ally, no institution will save us if we, the people, do not rise first. Remember this. A nation collapses when people wait for permission to act. Ang problema natin, naghihintayan tayong lahat.
Yeah.
But a nation rises when people move even without permission.
Right. Right.
I'll end with this. This is a battle not just of politics, but of moral obligation, of civic duty, of love of country, of loyalty to God and to the future generation. You know, there comes a moment in a nation where our neutrality becomes betrayal. When our silence becomes surrender. And when we choose comfort, it becomes complicity. But when that moment comes, we decide, are we gonna kneel to corruption? Or will we stand for our country? Will we hide in fear? Or will we rise in courage? Will we pass this crisis to our children? Or confront it now? History is calling us, the world is watching us, and our children, and our children's children, those who are yet unborn, will judge us.
Correct. Correct.
And we cannot fail them. Not now. Not today. Not in this moment of trial. But let this be clear to everyone. We are not standing here alone. We are not fighting only with numbers. We are fighting with truth. And wherever there is truth, God stands with the people. Throughout history, from our liberation to EDSA, to every moment when darkness tried to rule this land, God has always been on our side. Always been on the side of Filipinos who took the courage over fear, justice over silence, and country over self. When a nation cries out for justice, the Bible is clear about that. God hears, God moves, God aligns the people, God corrects what a corrupt power tries to destroy. And that is why we say today with conviction, if we stand for what is right, God is for us. If we fight for the nation entrusted to us, God is for us. If we move to save the Philippines, God Himself goes ahead of us.
Yes.
Lastly, if Tatay Digong were here, if Tatay Digong were standing here today, nakatingin sa nangyayari sa bansa, watching this government crumble under corruption, watching institutions manipulated, watching the people suffer, watching the Philippines dragged to the brink, you know exactly how he would react. And we know that the man never minced words. He never hid from the truth. He never sugarcoated anything. And I know if he were with us today, ito sasabihin niya, alam ko, pagod na kayo. Pero huwag kayong matakot. Huwag kayong umatras. Ang Pilipinas, hindi pag-aari ng mga magnanakaw. Ang bansa ninyo, ito ang tahanan ninyo. Ito ang dugo at kinabukasan ng mga inak ninyo. Huwag ninyong hayaang sirain ng mga kahaman at traidor. And perhaps you could be pointing his finger on us, piercing our conscience, as he would say, kung mahal ninyo ang bansa, ipaglaban ninyo. Lumaban kayo para sa Pilipinas, katulad ng paglaban ko noon. Walang atrasan, walang iwanan, walang takot. And he would add, may Diyos, may bayan, may katotohanan. At pag nagsama ang tatlo, walang makakapigil sa inyo. And he would say, ang pinakamasakit pero pinakatotoo, pag lumuhod kayo ngayon, luluhod ang mga anak ninyo bukas. Pero pag tumayo kayo ngayon, tatayo ang buong Pilipinas! So mga kababayan, the answer is here, the answer is now, the answer is us. And I believe this is the moment He has prepared all of us for, and also the moment He has sacrificed His life for. Not for chaos, not for violence, but for courage, and understand that God is watching us, history is watching us, the world is watching, and our children are also watching. And if Tatay were to say his lasts in this event, probably would say, mahal ko ang Pilipinas, mahalin niyo rin, at kung mahal ninyo, ipaglaban ninyo, save the Philippines.